Hello, my name is Mariana, and this is not a tarot reading today because I just wanted to share something different with you. So it's going to be one of those different videos. And this is because I was inspired by a chat that I had with my mother this morning when we were having breakfast together. And it's so interesting because there are so many things or so many pieces of conversations that maybe we have on a regular day-to-day basis with people that would live together, and we sometimes dismiss. And so I was paying close attention to what my mother was saying this morning and how she was describing the good feeling of remembering something from the past. She was telling me that she was on the phone with a friend of hers from a long time ago, and they were just reliving their times, their younger years. And it feels like, well, I could feel the importance of that for her. And it's almost like this recovery of some period of her life that she maybe didn't remember, or maybe she had completely taken out of her system because of life, right? So many things occur. So I feel like, it's almost like discovering money in your back pocket, and you've left there for I don't know how long, and then suddenly you find it. It's like finding this incredible, valuable thing that you didn't even remember that you put it there, right? It's like this rescuing kind of a memory that was a really beautiful memory, but for some reason it was, put back in your brain, and you didn't think of that in a long time. So that brought me this interesting thought about memories from the past, because, and this is something that I feel like I've mentioned in some of the readings, about how this concept of memories is, well, I feel like it is embedded in my nature, in my essence, because I am a Cancerian, and I know that Cancer is a sign that is very connected to memories, right? It's like the one who remembers. So, but there's also this maybe crystallized idea that memories are always or only coming from a past experience, a past life event. And I feel like there's something that, well, came to me actually in 2020. This was early days of the pandemic, and I remember that I was not feeling down. I was actually excited to have those days, although, back in March 2020, when we were just, 1 week into the isolation period, we didn't know how long it would last, but it felt like a little bit of a time off, just to, I don't know, just to not think about the daily preoccupations, right? So back in March 2020, I remember that I was studying a lot of astrology, and I was studying a lot of my own birth chart. And this is all just to give you this background on how I got to this concept of memories from the future, not necessarily just memories attached or associated with something in a past. Because back then, I was, very consistently, I want to say, because, I woke up and I opened up my birth chart, and I was like studying it and analyzing everything. And I don't know if you know much about astrology, but there's something else. There are multiple types of charts that you can analyze. And, one of the things that we could, further study within a birth chart is the progressed birth chart, which is, it's almost like this up-to-date version of your birth chart. So you can search a little bit of the details of what is a progress chart, but that's not the reason why I sat down to record this video. So I'm not going to go into details because I don't want to bore you with that. But the thing is, I was studying not only my birth chart, which is like um, this foundation, right? Of like the way that I like to call birth charts, natal birth charts is like my GPS, right? Like my uh, starlight or my star consciousness GPS for this lifetime. So I was studying my birth chart and I was studying my progressed chart for, all of the years. And yes, it was pretty intense. But I can get really focused when I'm into something. And I feel like in some ways that is kind of like an active meditation for me. It feels like, because I remember when I was studying back in architecture school, I used to get that focus too, and I would get in that flow state. So that's just a side note. Okay, going back to my intense studying of my astrological birth chart and my progressed charts. And I was not seeing, from when I was born until 2020, I was seeing, past that and into the future. And I was really intrigued with something because my birth chart, my Saturn is retrograde and is really close to my midheaven, but in the 9th house. So I was really intrigued to see through my progressed charts, when would I have, a chart where Saturn would not be retrograde. And I got to the point that, I was almost losing hope because I was going further and further and further in time. And I was like, is this lifetime supposed to be something that I have to work with Saturn retrograde, meaning that I have to pay even more attention to my responsibilities, to my duties, to my commitments, to my sense of long-term goal? And that is what it felt. It felt pretty heavy. And if you know also something about Saturn, is that Saturn can require a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work and effort and patience and discipline, all of those things that, when we are young, our parents are, asking us to be more responsible, and, we don't want to be, it's that kind of thing. It's all of the requirements to mature. And so I was really interested in knowing if there would be a moment in this lifetime where I wouldn't have to, rethink and reanalyze how I was acting or learning from Saturn, especially when it's retrograde, right? It's like this moment to think again, think things through, right? It's like a second chance in a sense. So I understood that, for most of my life until I am 98 years old, I'm going to have Saturn retrograde in my birth chart and my progressed charts. So I was really, when I got to the point of finally discovering a date, a year, when I wouldn't have this Saturn retrograde in my birth chart, I was so into it. I was really so, it's almost like everything around me was completely blurred, and I was really connecting to my 98 years old self. So it felt like this, it's almost like this time travel kind of thing, because suddenly I was no longer seeing anything in front of me. I was just receiving what I feel like it's and what I called a memory from the future, because I was in tune with my 98-year-old self, and it felt like, I had to go through that path, almost like a train path, right? A train track, so that I could get to the point of disembarking in my, 98-year-old self consciousness, so that she could connect with me now, or at least in 2020. And that was so incredible because I was completely awake. I was completely conscious, I was aware of my surroundings, but somehow I knew that I was receiving it. And that was, before I did these readings here on YouTube with my tarot deck. So it's interesting because it felt somewhat different, like opening a door to the future, meaning opening this memory coming from the future and not from the past, right? So it was not something nostalgic. And the message here, the reason why I wanted to share this with you, if you are still here with me, is that what I received from my 90-year-old self, well, wise consciousness, was that I have time. The only thing that I received beyond the sense of extreme peacefulness and ease and serenity, which was something that came up yesterday in the Taurus reading, was that I could relax because I have time. And so I don't know if you would like to try out, connecting with a future self. Maybe this was, I didn't know anything about this concept of remote viewing. I came only across it in the Aquarius reading, or was it the Pisces reading? Is one of the recent readings. And so I feel like there, when I was so focused in studying my own birth chart, I feel like I did like this remote viewing exercise without even realizing that that was what I was doing. And so now it makes so much sense, because that reassuring message from my future self gave me this sense of peace, right? That I don't have to rush, that I'm not late, that I'm not, heading backwards instead of forwards, that I have time. And so if you feel inspired to try out this, or if, you don't feel like this is something that is easy for you or that you would like to try, I would just like to share with you then this reassurance that, wherever in time your future self is, maybe they too have this message for you, that you too have time. You have time to enjoy this moment, that you will get there at some point, and it doesn't need to be rushed. It doesn't need to be, you don't have to get there earlier because you think you're late, right? So that is the beauty that I see in finding this precious memory from the future, which feels pretty much like, the same sensation of, well, I would say pleasure, but also like satisfaction of, remembering something from the past. But it has a different taste because it's not nostalgic, or it doesn't carry the same baggage, because it's almost like you have time also to explore your way to it. I don't know if it makes sense. I hope it does. So yeah, that was, just a quick little message that I wanted to share with you. I have a busy day today, so I don't know if I'll be able to record a tarot reading for Gemini today, but if I have time and, if I have the sunlight here still, I'll see if the cards want to talk today. If not, tomorrow is a new day, and then, yeah, we don't have to rush into anything. So I hope you have a beautiful day too, and I'll see you next. Bye.